The Property Bulletin by London Property, the home of superprime.
Whether or not you've binge-watched Clarkson's Farm, landowners can now appreciate Jeremy Clarkson for more than his Top Gear days. New planning laws, effective from May 21, 2024, allow farmers to convert up to 1,000 square metres of agricultural buildings into residential or commercial spaces without planning permission. This change, dubbed Clarkson's Clause, aims to help farmers financially. It was inspired by Clarkson's own challenges with local authorities over his farm shop and restaurant at Diddley Squat Farm. These amendments, according to the last Conservative government, will turbocharge rural housing development and give farmers greater freedom to diversify and grow their businesses. The updated Class R rights enable the conversion of up to 1,000 square metres of floor space into flexible commercial use, doubling the previous allowance. Additionally, Class Q rights now permit the development of disused and current agricultural buildings into homes, with the capacity to create up to 10 homes from a single agricultural unit, up from 5. Roger Punch of March and Pettit highlights that these regulations will help tidy up the unused structures scattered across rural landscapes. He notes that while the effects may not be immediate, each increment will benefit the rural economy. Savills Rural Agency Director Penny Dart adds that although conversions can be costly and time-consuming, the increased flexibility can help multi-generational farming families needing additional accommodation. However, there are some caveats. While Class R reforms apply to buildings within national landscapes, conservation areas, national parks and SSSIs, excluding listed or scheduled monuments, Class Q reforms do not, which has drawn some criticism. The importance of positive architecture and sustainable materials in these conversions is emphasised to ensure they blend well with their surroundings. Richard Clues of Stratton Parker's Chelmsford office explains that local councils are still involved as any proposed scheme needs their consent through prior approval. This streamlined process requires demonstrating compliance with all criteria to get a certificate of permission. These regulations, existing since 2015, now include former agricultural buildings for commercial conversions, thanks to Clarkson's influence. This is particularly relevant for parcels of land sold off with farm buildings. The increased floor space allowance makes rural business hubs more viable, providing affordable office spaces for businesses. Converting buildings into houses is slightly more complex, with a cap of 150 square metres per residential unit. However, there's still a transition period allowing for the previous 465 square metre limit for a single residence. The property market is already feeling positive shifts. Claire Carter of John D. Wood & Co. shares that a retired farmer could gain an additional £300,000 from converting an unusable barn. Beyond individual financial benefits, this legislation encourages the preservation and repurposing of historic agricultural buildings, blending modern living with heritage conservation. An uptick in demand for rural properties is expected, as buyers look to invest in these versatile estates. Welcome to 2024, where owning a home is a distant dream for many, and renting can be as costly as having a mortgage. With roughly 1 million people on social housing waiting lists and rampant homelessness and overcrowding, the housing crisis is a pressing issue. In May 2014, the average house price in England was £196,000. By May 2024, it had soared to over £300,000. Average mortgage payments have doubled from £536 per month in January 2005 to £1,063 per month in December 2022, while average UK rents hit a record high of £1,223 per month in April 2024, a 7.2% increase from the previous year. To tackle the so-called housing crisis, the new Labour government announced in July 2024 that it would ease planning laws and open up the green belt for building. However, the root causes of the crisis go beyond planning regulations. Soaring immigration, the right-to-buy scheme, unregulated private renting, and developers' land banking have all contributed to severe housing shortages. Developers often gain planning permissions but do not develop the sites, maintaining or exacerbating the shortage and driving up prices. Addressing this crisis requires more than just building more homes. Some people think that councils should be allowed to borrow, invest, and develop affordable and social homes. Theresa May recognised this need in 2017, advocating for diversification of the housing market and support for housing associations and local authorities to build more. The current Labour government aims to follow this approach, claiming that there is a need to build affordable and social homes to reduce prices and meet demand. Planning reform alone won't fix the housing crisis. Improving planning decision-making requires clear central government standards, proper resourcing for local councils, and curbing developers' tactics to game the system. Effective planning reform should strengthen local authorities' capacity to enforce standards and manage developments. Local councils need more trained planners and in-house ecologists to ensure homes are well designed and located. The Labour government's plan to prioritise brownfield land and repurpose some greenbelt areas is a step in the right direction. However, the greenbelt should be the last resort for building, with focus on greening and nature restoration. Building better homes involves more than just increasing quantity. Homes should be well designed, energy efficient, and equipped with the necessary infrastructure, like green spaces, public transport, and local amenities. Higher density housing can be achieved without compromising quality, ensuring privacy, mixed-use developments, and community facilities. Communities must have a voice in the planning process. Well-designed consultations, such as citizen assemblies, can lead to more consensual outcomes and better developments. Balancing local input with the urgent need for affordable homes is crucial. In conclusion, solving the housing crisis requires a multifaceted approach: reducing immigration, building more social and affordable homes, regulating rents, empowering councils, addressing profiteering, and improving planning processes. Sustainable, well-designed housing developments will help meet the demand and ensure a better quality of life for all. The proportion of private renters with children living in damp homes has nearly doubled since the pandemic, according to a BBC analysis. The rate increased from 1 in 14 households before the pandemic to 1 in 7 in 2022-23. The English Housing Survey reported about 208,000 households with children in damp private accommodation in 2022-23, up from 122,000 in 2019-20. Children in private rentals are more likely to experience damp issues compared to those without children. Charities have seen a significant rise in complaints about poor housing conditions since the pandemic, with many renters too afraid to report issues due to fear of eviction. The People's Health Trust highlighted that poor housing conditions are causing both acute and chronic health problems in children. In response, the government plans to introduce the Renters' Rights Bill, aiming to abolish Section 21 no-fault evictions and extend Awab's law to ensure landlords address hazards. While the National Residential Landlords Association acknowledges the challenges in the sector, they claim most renters are satisfied. Shelter advocates for protections against retaliation and calls for more affordable housing. The survey also reveals that 3.5 million households fail the decent home standard and 1 million have damp issues. In the recent King's Speech, King Charles III announced over 40 new bills from the UK government, with a strong focus on housing and planning reforms. Key proposals include significant changes to house building, renters' rights and leasehold regulations, alongside a push for greater local authority devolution. The Renters' Rights Bill aims to improve tenant security and protections by eliminating Section 21 no-fault evictions, introducing clearer grounds for possession and establishing a new PRS ombudsman for dispute resolution. It will also extend the Decent Homes Standard and Awab's law to private rentals, setting minimum property standards and clear legal expectations for addressing hazards. Tenants will gain the right to request keeping pets, and it will become illegal to discriminate against tenants with children or benefits. Fowey, a picturesque seaside town in Cornwall, reminiscent some say of the Amalfi Coast, has become a hotspot for Londoners seeking a tranquil escape. Its stunning beaches, clear waters and charming harbour make it a desirable location. However, this influx of second home buyers has led to a housing crisis for local residents, who are increasingly priced out of the market. In response, Fowey residents voted in a 2020 referendum to ban the sale of newly built houses as second homes. This new rule requires homeowners to prove that their property will be their primary residence. The surge in second home purchases has caused property prices in Fowey to soar, with the Sunday Times reporting a rise over £100,000 in a single year. Other Cornish towns like St Minver Lowlands also report that 40% of their properties are now second homes. Local resident Lucy Daniels, 60, expressed her frustration with the housing situation. "We can't buy anything because we can't afford it," she said, citing low local wages and high property prices. Renting isn't a viable alternative either, as rental properties are quickly snapped up, often during the summer season. "We live very precariously," she confessed, noting that locals face constant uncertainty with short-term rentals and the threat of eviction. Rebecca Hemingway from Fowey Folk Museum highlighted the stark reality. There's nobody with a view of the sea that's local, maybe one. It's too late to do anything about the second home situation now. It would be nice for the community if there were more affordable homes. The property shift has pushed out many local residents from prime locations, eroding the sense of community. As the housing crisis continues, the future remains uncertain for many families who call Fowey home.
Subscribe to our newsletter to receive our weekly bulletins and stay ahead of what's shaping the super prime property market.